When you book a trip to Croatia, you're usually picturing the Game of Thrones walls in Dubrovnik, or, those perfect pebble beaches.
Yeah, you aren't exactly looking for millions of tons of rotting concrete.
No, definitely not on the brochure. But today, for our deep dive, we are exploring exactly that. Croatia's concrete ghosts.
Right, it's this massive, silent landscape of abandoned megastructures, former hospitals, military bases.
Just completely left to rot. And the mission today is to uncover the hidden environmental cost behind them, because the scale is honestly hard to wrap your head around.
It really is. I mean, the estimates suggest these sites contain somewhere between 30 and 70 million tons of reinforced concrete just sitting there.
Which is staggering. And that brings us to the concept of embodied carbon.
Right, because concrete production alone drives roughly 8% of global CO2 emissions.
Wow, 8%. We usually think of emissions from running a building like the AC or the lights.
Exactly. But embodied carbon is the CO2 emitted just to make the building, extracting materials, pouring the concrete. So these buildings represent a massive carbon debt that was already spent.
For structures that are now entirely useless, it's like buying a Ferrari, driving it off the lot,
and immediately parking it in a swamp forever.
Exactly. And looking at the specific examples from the source material, these weren't small investments. Take Juljava Air Base.
Oh yeah, the underground one of Europe's largest underground military air bases. It was destroyed and abandoned back in 1992.
And it isn't just military sites. There are civilian giants, too, like the Haladovo Palace Hotel.
Right over on Kirk. Once a luxury casino complex. Just incredibly opulent, but abandoned since 2001.
Then you have the tragic cases like University Hospital Bledo in Zagreb, a massive hospital project from the 80s that was never even finished.
Just frozen in time. Or Kupari, the former military tourist resort. It had 7 hotels and villas, including the Grand Hotel and Hotel Pellegrin. It could host 1,600 guests.
But it was bombed during the war and never rebuilt. And then there's Kumrovec, right? The political school complex.
Yeah, built for ideological training. Now it's just a ghost campus.
So we have all these massive shells. But the big question the sources dig into is why? Why so many?
Well, the structural reasons come down to a perfect storm, starting with what the data calls Yugoslav overbuilding.
Right. Socialist planning built these oversized campuses for a future population and a collective lifestyle that just didn't persist.
Precisely. They built for a reality that never arrived, and then the demographic floor fell out.
The rural depopulation and birth rate collapse. I actually had to double-check the census data on this.
It's shocking, isn't it?
Yeah, roughly 595,000 vacant housing units, which is about 40% of the total housing stock.
40%. So even if you ignore the 1990s conflict, you just don't have the people to fill the concrete.
The war obviously did play a part, right?
Oh, absolutely. The war physically damaged sites like Kupari, while the failures of privatization during the transition left industrial giants to decay.
Right, so if you're listening to this, you might be wondering what the ultimate takeaway is, beyond this sort of urban exploration aesthetic.
The aha moment from all these sources is that these ruins are a fossilized memory of state planning. But they're also a silent, massive climate burden.
Because concrete doesn't disappear when a political system collapses.
It remains chemically and atmospherically long after the society changes. The carbon is in the air, and the concrete is on the ground.
Which leaves you with something really interesting to chew on. How do we reconcile the sheer permanence of these building materials with the impermanence of the societies that build them?
It's a heavy question to consider next time you see a new high-rise going up.
It really is. Thanks for diving in with us.